Jason Staffan, welcome to the Recruiter Startup Podcast.
Thanks for having me. Really looking forward to it.
Fresh off the set.
Yeah, did my hair and everything.
Lewis Lyons, thank you so much for today. You've just joined Opus.
That's right. Yeah, this is day 10 for me in New York.
Day 10. Have you conquered it already?
Yeah, I'm going home next week. So.
Yeah, well done. How long have you been in the US? How'd that move come about?
So I left the UK. I was in the UK for 3 years, and then went to Canada first, where I was there for a year and a half.
We talked briefly about that before.
We did, yeah.
Calgary.
Good old Calgary, yeah.
Purgatory.
Yeah, yeah, very much so. And then I moved to Texas for 4 years. I was in Houston for a year, then Austin for 3.
Yeah.
And then just moved to New York 6 months ago, actually.
Oh, wow. Where do you live in Calgary?
I was pretty much downtown. I was just a few stops from. We were on the Sun Life Plaza, was where the office was.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, you know it?
Yeah. There was an Irish. We lived above some Irish bar.
Kaylee's.
No, we weren't far from that. I used to have a few beers in there, all right. But yeah, we both had similar experiences in Calgary.
Yeah, I can imagine. I imagine most people moving there probably do.
So it's not a bad place, but it's very driven on the commodities, isn't it? And when we were both there, that oil price hit rock bottom.
Yeah, it was a tough market even before then. When I first looked at going, it looked like such a good move.
Yeah.
It was like, I think it's third largest crude reserves in the world.
Yeah.
You think that set you up for great success.
Yeah.
But when we got there, figured it was the problem of moving it through the pipelines and everything, which slowed everything down. So even before the price crashed, it was incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
But like a really good experience, because it was, I think I was the third person there.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was just like trying to build it up, and like, I've always enjoyed startups and builds. So
yeah,
it was, for what it's worth, I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, so am I. We escaped pretty quick though.
Yeah.
You went down to Houston. What was Houston like?
I really enjoyed Houston actually, more than I expected to. It kind of gets a bad rap sometimes.
What did you like about it?
The lifestyle was great, the weather was great, and there's a lot of expats there as well, which is nice going into a new city. Spending the weekend at the pool with your friends can never be too bad.
Was there a good recruiter scene there? Because I imagine it was like Perth where I was, where you have like all the energy recruitment companies, all the AT recruitment companies, and all the UK expats kind of know each other, playing the same soccer teams, and all of that was.
Yeah, very much so. And then I left to go to Austin, which is amazing, by the way. But
is it?
Yeah, Austin's great.
It's got a bit more soul about it, does it?
It really does. But just after I left Austin, Houston had the Super Bowl, and that really rejuvenated the whole place. It got pretty cool after I left. I timed it terribly. But Austin, Austin's a great place as well.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
What brought about the move to New York?
That was actually driven from my long-suffering wife. So we moved to Canada, to Houston, to Austin for like basically startup recruitment.
Yeah.
We met in the UK working at the same company.
Wow. Who was the better recruiter? You both work for S3, right?
Yeah, this is being recorded, so definitely her, because otherwise I'd be in trouble. And then she left to she actually now works for Uber. She's got a 5-star rating, she's a great driver.
Yeah, deadly.
And her career took us to New York, and that's how we ended up making a move just over 6 months ago.
So you've been in New York for 6 months?
Yeah.
And Opus tapped you on the shoulder.
Yeah. So I came over.
And you were a lifer at S3. What?
Yeah, I was there for a long time.
Tell me this as a director. How do I get a lifer out of S3 to join a big UK recruitment company, but one that's starting their journey in New York?
I think it is difficult because they're a very good company. I had tremendous experience there and some like great people. Learned a lot, so like very grateful for everything I had from there. I think just the opportunity at Opus was just too good to review. So if you look at like the track record of the company, their growth has been absolutely staggering. That's what got me interested in speaking to them.
What would you attribute that growth to?
So I think it's a combination of so you've got Darren, the founder, just like this amazing energy and personality and just drive to go out and kind of take over the world, and he's got an amazing ability to unite people behind a vision, and he's got some great people, some really, really impressive people on that senior leadership team. I think that's how they originally got going. And then 2017, Amy Golding joined. Amy's a Cambridge grad, used to work at Deloitte.
Smarter than me and you.
Definitely, safe to say, at least me. So she graduated from Cambridge, she worked for Deloitte for 4 years, she was special advisor to James Kahn, she started her own recruitment startup business, and then got picked up by Opus, and really brings like a whole different, fresh, unique approach to the industry about like complete talent solutions rather than just recruitment. But what's really cool is that I think it'd be easy for somebody to come in from the outside and kind of disregard everything that had made Opus good at the start. But she doesn't do that. She's like very much keep doing that. That makes you brilliant. But like also here's some other things to go in as well. So I think that combination for me really made them stand out to be different, and that was one of the big reasons.
What's your mandate for New York?
So New York is the start of growing America, and
that's a big job.
Massive, and look,
because they're killing it in Australia.
They are killing it. They're 10th fastest growing international company from the Sunday Times recently. When I came in, I was like, look, this is going to sound a bit conceited, but it is the biggest market in the world, in the US, projected to be $159 billion this year.
Wow.
If we're not the dominant force in Opus in 5 years' time, we're doing something wrong. And that's a big shout, but I really don't see why we couldn't do that, because the opportunity in front of us is just incredible. So that's my mandate. I want to take it from what it is now, very, very much at the kind of grassroots, to being the dominant force in Opus.
What are you going after?
So we've got tech and energy. We've got two brands. So we've got JD Ross that does energy, and then Opus Recruitment Solutions that does tech.
Yeah, that's Jack Rockwell.
It's a chap that's JDO.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
And are you running both? Are you? You're the guy for both brands, are you?
Yeah, that's right. So Jack looks after JDR globally, and then I'm responsible for JDR and Opus RS in New York and America.
Yeah, great. Projected headcount this time next year.
This time, so we want to end the year at like 20 heads. I'm hiring massively right now. So I'm looking for senior people in terms of individual contributors, entry level, team leads. It's like the whole gambit right now. So.
Where do you see it going more, on the tech side or on the energy side? Renewable seems to be an untapped area.
I mean, it could
There's
go,
no PSAs.
It could go either way, really. I'd like to grow them in tandem. The opportunity in both markets is massive. I think we've got like the right areas and good people in there, so it should just kind of go hand in hand. But we'll see. A bit of friendly competition won't hurt. Yeah,
and given that you've seen the growth of S3 over the years and what they've done in America, is there any lessons learned now that you're going to be growing your own team that you're going to adapt to make sure you get the right people? And like there's obviously some challenges in hiring Americans to UK owned recruitment businesses, otherwise people like us wouldn't have a business. So.
I think I learned a lot from like the things that went well and didn't go so well across the time I spent with S3. Are you thinking lessons like hiring specific?
Yeah, I think a common theme that we've come across is that there's a 180 model in America, and it's hard to get people who are experienced hires in America to do 360 recruitment, which is what our most UK recruitment firms are doing. And the other thing that keeps coming up is that people who are 360 recruiters, they tend to be like a bit more like they've 20 years experience or they've quite a lot, so it's quite hard to get that growth strategy at the same level.
Yeah, so I think I've had a lot of experience before, like hiring entry level and then training up. And if you can do that, then you can basically teach the same habits and everything else that we have done in the UK and we're more used to in the UK. And I had some good success with that with the team in Texas. We'll be looking to replicate that here, and then I think that, yeah, you're absolutely right. When it comes to finding experienced hires, it's just about finding the people who will do it in the same kind of way. We've definitely had some interviews with people, and like their approach has been completely different. And I've interviewed people who have come from the 360 model, have gone to 180 and gone, what is this, and then quickly come out of it again. But I think if you get people at the entry level and you can train the good habits through, then that's certainly been the way I've seen it work in the past.
What advice, given that you're an international man of mystery now, done a few countries, if you were in the UK and give you that time machine and you're 25, what advice would you give yourself when you're going into a new market? Because you're somebody who's cracked a new market 3 or 4 times now.
So my advice for that would be to pick an area, and you want to just try and become famous at it. And in the way the markets are set up now, it's so candidate driven, right? Our approach is to become career partners with the best of the industry for candidates, and then work off the back of that to establish really good client relationships. So having a real specific niche and want to become famous in that particular market, so that would be very much the approach that I've taken before, and we are again now. And then working, what we've found in the US and in Canada is that it's very much relationship focused.
More so than the UK.
More so than the UK, but also I think it's striking a balance between being able to make the transactions happen, but also balance the relationships as well. I think it's very easy for people to be too transaction focused and not develop long term, or too relationship focused and not make the placements. So I think the mark for a great recruiter has been able to balance that in like the immediate and the long term basis.
Make sure they're working the short list through it.
Now the market's wide open here. There's lots of money to be made, but it's not easy, right?
Yeah, that's right.
People think, I'm going to go to New York, I'm going to be rich.
I think it's a very, very tough market in the UK, right? It's very well established, it's saturated. I think there is a temptation to look overseas and be like, the margins are bigger, the percentages are bigger, there's fewer people out here, that must be a cakewalk. And don't get me wrong, it's not as saturated as it is in the UK, but it's definitely not easy either.
Yeah, it's not, right?
It takes time.
How long would you say it takes?
So I have, with that said, I've seen people come in and be successful straight off the bat, but that doesn't mean they've cracked it.
But they think they have that.
Yeah, they think they.
I've been that guy.
This
is easy. And then it's not.
That's harder. Taking a while to start, right? But my advice to people coming over would be like, be prepared to work really hard for 6 months before you start seeing anything come in. Kind of budget your emotional and your financial energy around that. And do you know what, you might be surprised. You might do deals quicker than that, and all of a sudden you get yourself up and running. But you might not, and if you haven't, you're not necessarily doing anything wrong. As long as you approach it with the right attitude, behaviour, you've got a reputation in mind. Like it might take that time to get up and running.
Somebody's listening to this and they're in the UK. They're doing 100 BD calls, banging their heads against the wall. The market's too saturated. What does the results have to look at for you to look at them and go, all right, you would work here? What kind of attributes do you look for?
So from my perspective, attribute-wise, I look for people with ambition, drive, coachability, and engagement. Like for those competencies, if you will, for people. So do they want to do something special with their life? Do they want to do great things? For ambition, do they have the drive where they're not going to stop until they get there? Coachability, where they learn from their mistakes. And engagement, can they engage people, but just kind of basically in that sense. From a performance perspective, if you're a Brit joining a British company, you're probably going to come over on like an E2 visa, like investment visa. So you get that on one of 2 ways. One is the like essential skills, so having to prove that the company couldn't get the skills locally. The other one's like an investor visa, which basically says that your hire will contribute to the scale of the business, and that more people get hired locally because of you. So for this, you basically need to show them that you've had like 3 years of consistent billing and job progression. So they've seen you go from maybe like an associate to consultant to a senior. And if you have any management experience or anything like that, that helps on the investor part.
Yeah.
And having a specialist market that you've worked in a niche rather than generalist also helps. And like yields of like 20-25k a month consistently usually kind of blend into that. The immigration folks don't look at that so much, they look more like your progression, but the companies you're applying to are going to look at your billing.
Yeah. A couple of lifestyle questions for you.
Yeah.
New York or Texas?
So it has to be New York or Austin, because if it's New York or Houston, it's definitely New York.
All right.
But I'm still in honeymoon with New York, so I'm going to say New York, because there is nowhere like it. All the stereotypes are true.
Really?
Yeah, good and bad. All the stereotypes are true.
One thing you love about it?
Just like the energy. It's such a cliche, but I can't think of anything else. It's just like you get a load of people who are like-minded, who want to come here, change lives, do something amazing, go out with like meet loads of people. It's a really special place for that.
So everybody's after the best talent, right?
Yep.
Let's take ourselves back in the time machine with me and you had a bit more hair.
Yeah, me too.
I think that's probably about 5 years ago for me. You know, when you have that 3 year mark in recruitment where your billings are good, you're still fired up, you're really going for it, you want to come in, and you have about 4 or 5 different options.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to that person when they're reviewing the companies in terms of choosing who they should go by?
Yeah. So that's a good question, because there's lots of options out there, and different companies offering different things. I think one thing is to look at like why exactly you want to make that move and what's important to you, right? Yeah. I think that like ambition's one part, because you might think some people want to come out because they want to take over the world, and some people come out because they want a different experience, and like those companies are all out there. Yeah. Another thing is like culture, so thinking about what makes you happy at work, and figuring out a company that is going to set you up so you get to do that all the time. And the other one I think is impact as well, like is the company set up in a way that will work like you want it to, and if you do that, what will your contribution mean? And just figuring out what's important to you with that, and hopefully that lines you up with what you're going for.
It's a good answer, and I can imagine, given that you had a good career with S3, but you didn't come in senior enough to be part of their exit. Whenever they did that, you kind of come in on the next wave. So now you're like, I've got a company. I'm going to be the guy that's going to drive it in America.
Absolutely.
And you're on that wave now, and that's all you can ask for, right?
So that was a big part of it for me. It was it was how well they've done outside of the US. Kind of where I got to in my career, the opportunity to do that here. Just as a job, and then being able to look back and go, wow, that was us, we did that. And then the financial side of that as well, like being able to be responsible for that would just be amazing. That's a big part of it for me as well. I want to do that to set myself up for the rest of my life. So
and as we've both discovered, timing is as important as the energy that you put into it. Like you could get the best opportunity in the world in Calgary where the market crashes, and it's like what do you do? But if you're in America, there's almost zero unemployment at the moment. There's loads of money washing around.
I mean, there couldn't be a better time to come, because like you say, unemployment's at its lowest. The opportunity ahead of it is the biggest market, but nearly like four times bigger than Japan. I think America's $159 billion, Japan's $40 billion. That's the second biggest. It's like, that's mind blowing. So given that companies right now will live or die by like their tech plan, the energy investment is through the roof, the unemployment's at record lows. It's just like, it's an incredible time to come out.
When we catch up with you next year, how many? What are we going to be? Where are you going to be sitting? What's the headcount going to be?
Well, so we should end the year at 20. So depending when we sit down, somewhere between 20 and 50, hopefully. Yeah.
Other offices on the agenda?
Yeah, there will be. The first couple of years will be in New York to get it embedded, but then moving across the country from there, basically. So if we're sitting down at the end of next year, hopefully we're talking about we're just about to open in this place.
Yeah, deadly. All right, thanks so much.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
All right, great stuff.